Next topic we're going to be talking about is the building of a background. Now, the background features are as follows. You've got your ability scores, which are your static scores, which are a +2 and a +1. Your skill proficiencies, where you have 2 skills that your character will then be proficient with. Your tool proficiency, and then, of course, your languages, which you will learn. Just off that grid there, I love the fact that there are ability scores tied to it because I'm a nature and nurture kind of guy. So I love the fact that where you grow up and what skills that you have based on what your training is determines your physical attributes. Because yes, if you are a fisherman, you should be pretty hearty out at sea. If you are a person who is a seamstress, yes, you should be very dexterous and very nimble with your hands. These and even the languages, knowing what culture you come from should be more important about what you speak than what your race is. So I love everything about the backgrounds for me.
Makes sense. Yep, we talked a lot about the ability scores before. Yep. Everything else makes sense. Skill proficiencies, tool proficiencies in a language, all makes sense.
Now, the 2 largest pieces of this background thing, in addition to the ability, is the feats which you get to choose a feat at level 1, and then your starting equipment is 50 gold pieces to spend on any equipment. Side note, I do hope that they do have the pre-build packs, like this is the cleric pack, this is the druid pack.
They do. Yeah, they have those, but they've rearranged them so that they're all 50 gold pieces. Okay. Because one of the things that I noticed when I was starting out and I had the wrong sort of mindset for the game, when I was treating it like a video game to optimize, I did go through all of the packs in the PHB and worked out if I was to buy all of the things in an adventurer's kit or an explorer's kit or a dungeoneer's kit or a priest's pack, what would give me the best bang for my buck? Like, because I get to start with it for free. And I did the same with, like, you get to start with one martial weapon. So I went down the martial weapon and went, well, I'll take that one because it's the most expensive martial weapon. And then I can go to a blacksmith and sell it and buy the one I want. Yeah. So they've avoided people who think in that mentality by just saying they've specifically balanced everything to be 50 gold pieces. And when he talked about that, I thought, how are they going to do that? That seems like a lot of work. And then I go down to the sample backgrounds and I realize, it's because in the equipment they've given you a book, calligrapher's supplies, holy symbol, parchment, robe, and then 3 gold pieces. So they've given you just change. So they've taken everything up to about 50 gold in your equipment, and then they've just given you the change.
Yeah, nice.
Which is a very simple way to do it.
It is, and I think I think that definitely makes it more accessible as well. Because the quicker and simpler it is to get in, that is what D&D 5th edition is about for me. Is like
in the same way they've also made all instruments cost the same amount of money, all tools, all artisans' tools cost the same amount of money, and all gaming supplies, gaming kits all cost the same. However, that does mean that it costs you, I think, 1 gold piece for a deck of cards, or 1 gold piece for a set of dice, or 1 gold piece for a dragon chess set. Which seems weird, but nobody's going to argue about it because it's only 1 gold. Only.
All right. So we're going to hit this in 2 ways. You guys read the background, and when we get to the feat, I'll read the feat.
Cool.
So, Dred, kick us off with...
Okay.
The Acolyte.
Samples.
Acolyte. Samples. Okay, Acolyte. 2 whiz, 1 int, skill proficiencies are insight, religion, tool proficiencies, calligrapher, supplies, language is celestial, and feat is mage, initiate, divine. Do you want me to read the background, like the flavor?
What do you mean by divine?
Divine. So magic initiate comes in 3 different samples, which is great actually. So they've actually switched up the schools of magic to be divine, arcane, or primal, which is very clean spell list wise, not having to choose cleric or wizard or whatnot.
Yeah, they're no longer doing wizard spell list, sorcerer spell list. It's just like wizards will now get to choose their spells from the arcane spell list.
Yeah, which is great. And and the interesting thing there, the one thing that I don't like about it is being an acolyte and having celestial be the language, because do you have to be a good character to be an acolyte? Must you worship a good
True.
god to be an acolyte?
True.
I'm
not going to argue about anything that they've given here because it's literally just a sample. Like they've just said this is the sort of thing you can make with the backgrounds.
Yeah.
You should be making your background using the background features that we've given you. Choose ability score, choose 2 skill proficiencies of will.
Yeah.
But if you want to be an acolyte, here's
This is
one
how you
we've
do it.
made for you. Here's one we made earlier.
Yeah, so it'd be more.
But yeah, Celestial, you could easily, and that's kind of the idea. Sorry, that's kind of the idea that you can say, oh, I want to be a cultist rather than an acolyte. I'll take the acolyte sample background and I'll swap Celestial for Infernal, and I'll swap Insight for Deception or something. You can mix it up as you want,
which is amazing, and I think that's going to make it just so much more versatile in what you can do and achieve. As for the magic initiative, you learn basics of a particular magic tradition, choose a spell from the Arcane Divine or Primal. You gain 2 cantrips and a first level spell from the lists of the question thing. Pathfinder 2nd edition does do that same thing with Primal, Divine, Arcane, and Occult. So it'd be really...
Oh, they've got occult as well.
They've got occult as well. So there'd be...
so the occult magic would be like the tentacle-y sort of stuffs?
Yeah, it's more like... I think bards, witches, and kind of dark magic is kind of in the occult section.
Bards, even.
Yeah, bards.
Because that's an interesting thing I hadn't thought about with them doing this divine primal and whatever. What would something like Hunger of Hadar or like Eldritch Blast, is that arcane?
Yeah, a lot of people would probably lean towards arcane. I mean, I'd say primal to a degree.
It seems like it, doesn't it? It seems like that's why I'm like occult kind of does feel like a necessary fourth distinction for like any warlock magic, weird Eldritch warlock magic.
I will say that one of the
it doesn't quite
interesting
fit into
things is Eldritch Blast isn't on that list at all, so it might actually be just a warlock thing.
Yeah, maybe they have.
Yeah, because there's no.
Or maybe occult is one of the things they'll announce later on when they did.
Yeah, maybe.
Casting.
That'd be cool.
This is just to get you going with your race and background more than anything else. So yeah. All right, what's next?
We've got Artisan, gives you intelligence and charisma boost, investigation and persuasion. Artisan's tools of your choice. You speak Gnomish, and you suggested to take the feat Crafter, which allows you to take more tools.
Yep, more tool proficiencies. You buy at a discount, and you craft faster.
You start with a merchant scale and artisan's tools, an abacus, and 25 gold pieces.
A whole video on crafting we could probably make, but let's start with just really quickly. When you craft an item using a tool in which you have tool proficiency, the required crafting time is reduced by 20%. Yep, we're all feeling that way.
Rob's face.
I guarantee that no one thought about what that means for the economy. No one thought about because another thing of the crafter is you get, is it the crafter or is it some other merchant feat or something?
That's the crafter.
That gives you 20% discount on all non-magical items.
Yep.
I guarantee nobody has put any sort of maths work into working out what that means and what the implications of that are to have people just like people with the crafter feat running around. And like nobody would have gone, like 20% is such a round number that they would have just gone, 20% sounds right. And given that seems to be how they've done all of the economy of 5e, I would eat my hat, my brand new Robert Hartley merch hat. I would eat my hat if I learned that they had anyone who'd actually put any thought into the economy of the system and what like saying 20% crafting reduction would actually mean for in game terms, which makes the entire feat like entirely circumstantial at best. Like when is it going to come up? The economy is so broken that people use their own pricing in so many different games to determine what does and does not break the economy of their game.
Which would be really funny if you had someone who corrected it to make everything more accessible and cheaper, and then you went, yeah, cool, I'll take a 20% discount on everything.
Yeah, I'll take a 20% discount on it. 20%. That's much more than his bottom line. He can't
afford it.
You can't afford it. You're gonna ruin him.
It's like it's like Fred the fruit merchant. It's like I can't afford to support my kids.
It becomes a new meme that's not murder hobos. It's just like daylight robbery hobos. They're just
these guys wringing their hands with like. All right.
It's either gonna be. Well, most often it's just going to be useless because nobody like the DM is going to know that you have that feat, and so they're just going to mark up the price that they would have charged you by 20%. Or it's going to be like so unimportant, because how often do you really need to go on shopping sprees to like bargain over individual items that aren't magic items, because it's only a discount on non-magical items. So when you need to stock up on arrows, you save yourself 2 silver.
Yep. All right, next up, Dread.
Dread. Charlatan.
All right. Sorry, give me a sec. I was on the spell page.
Charisma, dexterity, deception, sleight of hand, forgery kit, infernal language, and the infernal language.
Yeah.
And the skilled feat. And you get fine clothes and money.
Because if you are clearly a thief, you are in bed with the devil.
I don't know how I feel about having languages baked into the backgrounds. I feel like languages should be separated, right? Because
I feel like language makes sense to be baked into the background, but not because they've set, like it feels out of place because they've named them, and if they've used the same names from the backgrounds from earlier 5th edition, which is going to be confusing to a lot of people. But I think it makes sense that the languages should come from how you've lived your life.
I want to put my hand up and say that why is the language you get not thieves can't?
yeah. For Charlatan, yeah.
Maybe like a range, would that be okay? Or would you think that having it just as one makes sense with that sort of like understanding that like you get that language because all charlatans know how to speak?
Again, I think we're getting tied up on like the minutiae of Charlatan. It's just a sample. They've just put one thing together to be like, this is an example of the sort of backstory you should be creating.
Totally agree.
I didn't when I opened up the PDF, I did not even look at these backgrounds. I just went past them, because the idea is, and they've been very clear about it, the idea is you make your own background. You get to the choose your own menu stat block of the background, and you go, I'm going to choose 2 ability scores in this and 1 in this. I'm going to choose 2 skills, 1 tool. And then they've only included these, which I think samples. Was kind of a bad idea. But they've included these as just like if you can't be asked making your own, here's the sort of thing you can choose from. And so I didn't even look at them. I was like,
it's a paradigm shift, right?
In which case, after this one, we can probably just skip to the.
I'd rather spend that time going over the feats.
I think you're totally right, because like this is just samples.
Okay,
and like you can make one that's kind of like a monster eater.
So I guess the point to make here is. We can make our own backgrounds. It's got a clear and concise format, which again goes back into what we were saying about things like even with the race stuff, like the legacies and stuff like that. There is a lot of thought gone into what we can homebrew as GMs and as writers, which I love. The languages, again, you can make your own languages for your own setting that are going to be appropriate, or even things that are going to be more appropriate for the tools that you need. And you can build them within the background, which I think is an appropriate place for them, more so than the racial stuff.
Yeah, totally.
All right, as far as Feats goes, guys, 3.5. 3.5 is coming back. It's right here. It's now.
They're bringing it back.
Yeah, so excited. You know, the only thing that'll make me happy is if they announce prestige classes, right? But you basically have your level of the feat, your prerequisites, which is, of course, the thing that you need in order to take the feat, and repeatable if the feat is able to be taken multiple times. Which, of course, for some is about stacking rules, which imply that there are stacking rules, and that the ones with repeatable is an exception to the rule, so things don't stack unless they tell you to. You know who you are. Okay. So, alert is the first feat. No prerequisites, not repeatable. You always look for danger. Initiative proficiency. When you roll your initiative, you add your
one thing just about feats in general is that they have made them all leveled so that every feat will have level requirements to take. So these ones that they've introduced in the PDF are only the ones that you can take as part of your character creation at first level.
Yeah,
correct.
And you'll notice that not a single one of them is a half feat. None of them have an ability score increase. He said in his announcement video that that's by design. Like part of being a first level feat is that it won't have an ability score improvement.
Yeah, this is more of a taste of what is.
The first levels will also not be the super powerful combat ones like Sharpshooter and Great Weapon Master and all Sentinel and all those ones that you are used to taking. Because they're objectively the best feat. Well, now you can't, because they're objectively better than the others, so you got to wait. You got to earn them.
So like giving them a level requirement is like it just
I think
changes feats.
Building up is the key to success with feats. You need to build up to things.
And I think it's a perfect direction to go. I think I'm super on board with the feats having levels.
Yeah, same. All right, so add proficiency to your initiative for alert, and initiative swap. Immediately after you roll initiative, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. You can't make this swap if you or the ally is incapacitated. I like this. I also want to add the caveat of I love the idea of delaying or holding your action to drop your initiative as well. If you can drop your initiative and do this, I think that would make for a very versatile character, which I love, because it means that rather than you just dropping your initiative down, you could bring someone's initiative up, which would be freaking amazing.
I don't like it. I think it's a really useful mechanic, and I don't like it because it's super gamified. There's no reason for it in the roleplay, because why is me being alert helping my dumbass friend over there who's both slow and not aware of his surroundings go faster in the initiative?
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's like
you could argue that it's like, I'm alert of danger, so I say, hey Barry, get on the lookout. Yeah. There's something coming, and so you're helping that. But then that would bring his initiative up to you. It wouldn't drop you back down to him. I don't understand why swapping is anything other than a game mechanic, and it doesn't make any sense roleplay wise for me.
So what you're saying is maybe it'd be something along the lines of like add your proficiency bonus to an ally instead of yours.
Correct.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's what I would do. Like when you roll initiative, you can choose to add your proficiency bonus to either yours or an adjacent allies, so that you can take some of the moment that you would be using to like draw and get yourself ready. You're instead turning to them and saying, "Get ready." And you're dropping your bonus to give them a slight boost to their bonus. I don't like the swapping thing. It just gamifies it.
Theme-wise, it's nicer too, because even if they roll low, like they still only get their proficiency bonus added. So like if you get like a 20, you're like, oh, I rolled a 20, but I'm gonna give you my +3 because I just yelled to you, get ready.
Oh yeah. And how many times do you have like an ally who's like just one initiative below
one
someone?
Less than, or on the same. It comes down to being like, oh, what's your dexterity modifier again? Oh, I'm going to give him a proficiency bonus because I see the DM's asking, so he must be on the on a tie with him.
Yeah. And
I'd prefer something like that.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. We went over the craft.
They have lost the surprise from alert. But I don't know if they're going to change up how surprise works because it's so confused a lot of the time.
Yeah,
people are expecting this to surprise rounds and what does it mean and stuff. So they might be just getting rid of surprise altogether.
Surprises,
or maybe they've just gotten rid of it from alert.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to look at what they do with ambushes, because that's usually the starting place for a lot of the D&D stuff. As like the first thing you'll read about is like, this is how you ambush people.
Yeah.
All right, we went over the crafting stuff already. But yeah, you get proficiency with 3 different artisans tools. You get a 20% discount, 20% faster thing. We've already talked about that. Healer, which is always one of my favorite ones when you can heal without spells. This one is where'd it go? Oh no,
it's you gain proficiency with the you gain training and intuition to administer first aid. So if you have a healer's kit, you can expend 1 use of a healer's kit to tend to a creature within 5 feet of you. It costs you an action and the use of the healer's kit, and then it also costs them 1 of their hit dice. They roll their hit dice and add their hit points plus your proficiency bonus. So it's okay, but it does use up their resources. You're already using up the resources of a healer's kit, and instead of it just giving healing, you can only heal them if they have hit dice left.
Yeah, honestly, that just reads like, when using a healer's kit, add your proficiency bonus to the hit points gained. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a lot of text for what is a very simple mechanic.
It's just that the difference is it used to be that the healer feat used to be that it would, just by using the healer's kit, you're regaining 1d6 hit points. It's not expending any resources except for the healer's kit.
Right, but now it's also expending your hit die. So you're expending.
Now it's that and expending hit dice.
Yeah.
So they've made the healer feat worse.
Yeah. And you also got healing rerolls, which is whenever you roll a dice to determine the number of hit points you would restore on the spell, you can reroll a 1.
Not powerful at all. I did the maths on this. It works out less than 0.4, less than a 0.4 increase over average.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I do that already, like just as a house rule, like
because it sucks to roll 1s on healing.
Yeah, because it sucks.
It's not that useful. They were saying this in the announcement that like, oh, we've given a bunch of the feats that a new person would look at and go, oh, I'm playing a cleric, I should take the healer feat. And they looked at it and went, oh, if you're already a healer, you don't need the healer feat as it was written, because it doesn't do benefit for you, even though it does. But they were saying, oh, it doesn't, so therefore we're going to give it this. Also, you can also reroll ones. So now there's a benefit and an incentive for a healer to take it.
Is ones and twos better?
Rerolling a one just isn't good. It just isn't good enough to warrant taking it as your feat.
Yeah,
as the healer.
I mean, I have no idea why it wouldn't be something like reroll and take the higher.
Yeah, reroll and take the higher. Like the Savage Attacker version, but for healers.
Yeah.
It's not going to be game breaking. You're gonna. I obviously I'd have to do maths on it to work out for sure, but you're going to be on average doing like 3 or 4 more hit points per heal,
which is definitely worth it.
Which is fantastic at low levels, and very quickly becomes at higher levels. Especially because a lot of healing at high levels isn't rolling dice. It's just like you cast heal and do 70 hit points.
But then you'll have the battle medic. But the catch with the battle medic is that you never really expand more than one of its hit die, which I think is a painful penalty to have to endure, because it's like, at higher levels that's just gonna get powered out.
Yeah, for to spend an action to regain for the wizard like a d6 plus your proficiency bonus, and then you've used your entire action to give him 4 hit points.
Yeah, and given that you're expending the resource plus the hit die, why not just spend as many hit die as you want?
Yeah. They can essentially do the short rest version of the spend what hit dice you need.
Would you?
I don't know. I think the healer is underpowered, and I don't think it's a useful feat, to be honest.
I agree. Well, what were you gonna say, Dread?
Oh, I was gonna say that would just like floating the amount of dice up on Battle Medic be better, and also like say 3 or proficiency bonus number of hit dice that you can do, and then that just sort of scales.
They can expend a number of hit dice up to your proficiency bonus, and then blah blah blah.
That ties into it, because that's how proficient you are with healing with Battle Medic, right? Yeah. The other thing is like, does like the rolling healing rerolls, is ones and twos better than just ones, or is it just like another?
Definitely.
Yeah,
so ones and twos is objectively better, but it's
better,
still like it's still not as good as just saying like
take the higher.
Just reroll and take the higher.
Yeah.
Like you have advantage on healing rolls once per roll or something.
Yeah.
Or like you could word it so that it's not like, because if you're casting like a 5th level Cure Wounds, you're rolling 5d8, and if you got to roll all 5 of them again and take higher, then you could be like, that's getting pretty powerful.
Yeah,
but
you could just say reroll.
You could be like, you can reroll up to your proficiency bonus number of the dice.
Yeah, again tying back into the theme of proficiency.
How good you are at being a medic, how proficient you are at it. Then moving on, we've got the lucky feat, which has changed a little bit, but is pretty much the same one. You have inexplicable luck that kicks in at the right moment. You have a number of luck points now equal to your proficiency bonus, no longer just three flat across the board. You now start with 2. You get 3 from 5th level, and then eventually it'll go up to 4, 5, and 6 even. You can spend the points on the benefits below, and you regain them when you finish a long rest. You can either spend one to gain yourself advantage after the roll, or disadvantage on something that's attacking you after their roll.
Which I think is amazing.
I think they fixed it. Before it was, you got super advantage with advantage and disadvantage with D20 tests.
Yeah, it was if they had advantage, you could
take the highest,
spend a luck point to roll another one and take the
highest.
Take the highest.
Same thing as well. So if you had disadvantage, you would roll and you'd take the higher out of the 3 because you had to roll. You had another dice. So what I
think is that lucky was one of those you must take feats before. Like it was something that people were like, it's an objectively one of the best feats in the game, and they have nerfed it. This is objectively a worse version of lucky than the thing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because of how powerful lucky was, but it is objectively worse because instead of now being a reroll, it is an advantage. And yes, you get to do it after the roll, which is good, but it's still just advantage, which means any roll that you already have advantage on, you don't get lucky. You can't add an extra roll onto it. And likewise for disadvantage. If something is hitting you and they already have disadvantage, you can't force them to roll again and take another of the
super disadvantage.
So it's worse. It's worse, but that might be for the better in a overall balance sense.
Then we got Magic Initiate, which, as we mentioned before, is gaining a handful of useful spells from either the Arcane, Divine, or Primal sections. You get 2 cantrips and a 1st level spell, which I mean, I like that. Just if you want to dabble in a bit of magic. It's great. It means you can start off as an arcane trickster, or like something with a little bit of like extra out of the ordinary stuff. Like even if you were playing a spell card, like a full-blown wizard, you can go, cool, I've got a couple of divine spells, meaning
so often you play with somebody new who is sort of like choice paralysis about what to play. So I often be like, is there a character from a book series or a TV show that you like and you'd like to play something like that? And they'll go, okay, yeah, I'll play so and so from this series. And then they want to play, well, the best role for that would be a fighter or a martial class in some way. And they go, okay, cool. But they can also do this thing. They're also a bit of an airbender or something. And having the magic initiate is a great way to build a character you've got in your mind that's like emulating something that exists, where they're mostly a fighter, but they can also do like a gust cantrip. That's a good way to build
especially if
a character with just a little bit of flavor.
Yeah, especially if there's an expansion on it later on for Feats, so you can actually keep improving.
Yeah, like a third level, a fourth level feat or whatever.
Like maybe you won't be keeping up with like wizards and sorcerers and all that, but you'd still
get to take a second level. If you like prerequisite to a fourth level feat being like magic trained, you must have magic initiate. And if you have magic initiate, you can take magic trained, and then you have a second level spell or something like that.
Interestingly, this is possibly the first repeatable that we've seen.
Yeah, this is a repeatable, but you have to take a different class, a divine or whatever.
You must choose a different spell list each time.
Master of all.
And the fix that they've done here is that you can now recast that same slot more than once a day if you have spell slots. With Magic Initiate as written in 5e, you just get like that once per day. And even if you have it prepared, even if you have that spell prepared, you can't use your spell slots to prepare it, to cast it.
Yeah. Can we also mention the fact that you can actually choose which mental stat to apply to it for your
that's pretty useful as well.
That's very useful.
Magic Initiate, I think, used to be like, if you choose from the wizard spell list, it's intelligence, and if you choose from this, it's this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
now it's just like whichever's your highest stat.
Which I like.
Musician feat. You are a practiced musician, granting you the following benefits. You gain 3 proficiencies in musical instruments, and after you finish a rest of some kind, interestingly, with them saying after you finish a short or long rest, that's one of the only instances in this whole document of them saying the words short rest, which until I read that, I was like, I think they're getting away with getting rid of short rests. Everything's based on proficiency bonus times per day. Nothing comes back on a short rest anymore. But they have included the words short rest, so it seems they're not getting rid of it yet. After you finish a rest of some kind, you can play a song on one of the musical instruments you're proficient with and give inspiration to all the allies that can hear you equal to your proficiency bonus. As we talked about before, I've already given my thoughts on it. I don't like the use of inspiration in this way. This basically just feels like bard light, and I think as such it should be a bardic inspiration. Like this just feels like you're training yourself in bardic ways. So here's some, you get bardic inspiration once per day or whatever.
Either that or the track. Like everyone's dice gets upgraded, their inspiration dice gets upgraded.
I think that maybe the track thing you were mentioning would be better suited to the bard as a class ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
I really like the idea of building inspiration. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I can imagine keeping my hero points, as I'm calling them, as DM inspiration, and then introducing this feature as back to being inspiration as the game designers actually wanted you to be, which is like you've got advantage on something. But after you finish a short rest, you play a musical instrument and you give your ally inspiration because of how inspiring your music was. And then for the rest of the day, they can choose when to get advantage. That starts to feel a bit gamified again. Like it should just be like on the next roll or on the next attack roll. On they have initiative on the first round of combat, or the first on their initiative on their inspiration on the initiative rolls, or something that's like you've still got the inspiration from the short rest. Rather than like you've just got a token that you can be like, I choose to reflect on the inspiration that you gave me this morning because of the beautiful music in order to make myself better at picking this lock.
Absolutely.
Savage Attacker. Savage Attacker, first level feat, no prerequisites, it's not repeatable. Like we said before, it's when you've trained to deal a particular damaging strike. So when you make an attack action and you hit the target with a weapon, as part of that action, you can roll the damage dice twice, and then use either roll against the target. You can use this benefit only once per turn, which is
per turn, so you can use it on reactions.
Yeah.
Use it on attack of opportunities.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's basically the same as it was, but I'm not sure if they specified weapon before. Now they've specified weapon, so you cannot savage attacker on an unarmed strike, even
unless
if you're a monk.
you have presumably the improved unarmed strike. Like monks and stuff like that who treat their unarmed strike as a weapon.
No, because they've specified a bit when it comes to the crit changes with the crit hits and stuff. They've specified unarmed strikes. When you hit with a weapon or an unarmed strike and you get a 20 on the d20, it counts as a critical hit, blah blah blah. And so they've specified unarmed strikes as a separate thing to weapons.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they might take, like, say, the monk class and say unarmed strike. You treat unarmed strikes as a weapon.
No, they don't, because they've said the only reason they've included unarmed strikes in the thing is because of monks.
Oh, okay.
Because you can't crit with an unarmed strike unless you have a damage dice with your unarmed strike.
Oh, boo. Okay.
Because as written, you don't roll a dice for an unarmed strike. You just do 1 point of damage.
Savagely punch someone.
You don't roll a d1. Exactly right. Why can't you savagely punch someone? I don't know. And also, like, things like there are spells like primeval nature or something. There's a cantrip that can like turn your fingers into claws, and you do like acid damage as a melee weapon attack. You couldn't savage attack of that, even though the flavor of it would be you suddenly cast this spell and you grow teeth and claws and you can scratch at somebody's face. But because it's a spell damage, you can't do savage attack on.
All right. Well, clearly, then the way that I would spite the GM who came up with that would be to take Savage Attacker and make sure that my monk, who is a gentle fist, like monistic kind of individual, just says, "I'm really sorry, my child, but in order to use this ability, I must put on my brass fucking knuckles and just start. I'm really sorry.
Savagely
I really wish I
attacking.
could hit you non-lethally, but apparently."
He just puts on like a little headband, kind of like a little tiara, but it's just got a little gem in the center so he can headbutt with a weapon on strikes. I think my footwear counts as weapons, right?
He's wearing soccer cleats.
Studs in the chest.
Amazing.
Yeah, weird that Savage Attacker only applies to weapons. I would rule otherwise as a GM, but whatever.
Yeah, what about bite attacks? I mean, I know, like...
Bite is an unarmed strike.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. You can't savagely bite
someone.
Yeah,
you can't savagely bite someone, yeah. You can't Savage Attacker a bite attack.
Yeah,
if you're like a Dragonborn or something.
Yeah, I definitely apply that to unarmed attacks. Like, yeah, definitely. All right. Dread, any thoughts on Savage Attacker?
I think it's fine the way it is.
Do you bite people in a fight?
What was that, sorry?
Do you bite people in a fight? We're meeting in packs. You bite people in. Oh my god, that does not surprise me.
Can you imagine me in a fight though? How am I? What scenario that I'm in a fight?
I don't know.
I don't actually bite people in a fight.
You'd strike me as someone who would fight like a 10-year-old. And like, yeah, and you'd bite me. I imagine if I got.
Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting in this hypothetical?
Yeah, I don't know, Dad.
Why
just arguing? Fight,
like literally fight, like fist fighting.
Look, I'd probably de-escalate.
So right now,
let's
PAX
be honest,
is going to include a foot race with Robin and Chicken, and me and Dread like in some sort of like battle royale.
Yep. I'd probably use my words. I'd be like, now, can we just like stop and talk about this? Do we have to fight in this situation? Or perhaps we could come up with some other
Like sticks and stones will break your bones. Yes, they will. Yeah. Yes, they will.
Amazing. No, right. I don't know what I would change there. I think weapon is obviously the thing that they're saying. And it happens all the time as well. It's a very
interestingly, actually, you cannot Savage Attacker on a reaction. Thinking about it, because it specifies when you take the attack action.
Yeah.
Yes.
A reaction is not an attack action.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, you cannot Savage Attack or anything that you're.
Same with
if you're holding your action to hit somebody as they walk through the door. Yeah. You can't Savage Attack.
So just to clarify, a reaction that makes an attack is not considered an attack action?
Correct.
No. Oh yeah, you're using your reaction to make the attack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's one way to look at things. Okay.
You're using the ready action on your turn. That's the action that you're choosing on your turn, and then you're using your reaction to trigger that readied action.
Yeah. Okay. A question though, like it says weapon, so it has to be like an item weapon, like it does not breath weapon, right? Or
not breath weapon. No.
Yeah.
It's a capital W weapon.
But if you had steel bubblegum.
And you made a breath weapon and spat the steel at them. I thought you meant just spat the gum at them, but you've chewed up some ball bearings.
Yeah.
Just turn your breath weapon into a into a
The
Gatling
other
gun.
consideration there is that it's not melee, so do it with the bow,
Oh
right?
yeah, you could savage attack her with a bow.
Yeah.
You just foot on their chest, just like.
Look at that! Yes.
Boom.
That's a good
All
point. That
headshots.
is crazy.
Yeah. See.
I would say I would just change it to say when you make an attack in melee. And
I mean,
Yeah,
you
'cause
could
I've got
savagely
melee attack
throw.
there.
You could savagely throw.
I'd
a
remove the
hatchet.
attack action, and I'd
Yeah.
remove the weapon, and I would add in melee because you can't savage attack her from ranged.
You
You,
could, I,
if you're,
no,
if
no,
you're
no, no,
aiming
wait,
for
wait.
critical points, you could,
I
right?
could
Just like
say-
knees,
Yeah,
feet,
no, you can
head.
use a bow and arrow though. But what about throwing axes? I could say you could savagely throw a throwing axe.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. If you're throwing an axe, you're already ready. You're trying to kill them.
Yeah, but like,
Doing it savagely is just going to reduce your aim
Well,
rather than
yeah.
anything, rather than increasing like
yeah,
damage.
that's a true point, right? For me, I'm so accustomed to savage attacks like from Pathfinder, having reduced the attack value in order to increase your damage.
Yeah.
And that's how most of these like big power things. So yeah, maybe that's just
Maybe
you're
thrown
right, maybe you're right.
weapons.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna retract
it's
my-
interesting.
Skilled is repeatable because all it does is give you 3 more skills proficiencies,
Which is cool
super
because
useful.
it means that you can actually be proficient in everything at some point or another.
So you could take the human background. You could get
Yeah.
a feat from your background and a feat from your human. Because it's
Yeah.
repeatable, you can take 6 skills by taking the skilled feat twice.
Yep.
Then you also, being a human, you also get a skill.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you could be a rogue, I think, which, unless they're changing it, to get like 6 skills at first level.
But then you've also got the 2 from your background.
Yeah, and then 2 more from background. So you could be proficient in over 10 of the skills at first level, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. And as a rogue, you'd be expertise in 2 of them.
Some people love that build.
I love it. I love playing skill monkeys, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can do anything.
Okay.
I'm a little bit good in all the things. Tavern Brawler.
I love the Tavern Brawler. This is by far one of my favorite feats. All right. Enhanced unarmed strike.
It's your favorite before now, or
Both.
Now, or both?
Both. I love both. I love getting into random fights with stuff that shouldn't be used as weapons. When you hit with an unarmed strike and deal damage, you can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d4 plus your strength modifier instead of the normal damage of an unarmed strike. Straight up, it's the same damage as a dagger. It's nothing to write home about, but hey, we can now do it. Damage rerolls. Whenever you roll damage for your dice from an unarmed strike, you can reroll the dice. If it rolls a 1, you must use the new roll.
It's now better than a dagger.
Yes, it's now slightly better than a dagger.
You are better at punching than you are at stabbing people with a dagger.
Yes.
You do more damage from punching someone than stabbing them.
Yeah, but in the same way that I really wish it was like roll twice and take the higher for the damage, because it's a D4, mate. 3 extra damage
It's a
is not
D4 for
something to
Christ's
try
sake.
and restrict. Calm down.
Yeah, exactly right. You can re-roll if it's a 1, which, as part of my my maths from before, I can tell you is about a 0.34 increase on average.
And then you must use the second roll. That's the other catch.
And you must use,
So if you roll a 1 again, it's not like you get to keep re-rolling until you get
until
something
you
higher
roll
than 1.
something else. Yeah, you it's just a 1 on the second one.
So when you
because if it was just you always get to re-roll ones until you roll something more than a 1, then it increases the damage from the average from
1 to 4 to
2.5. It increases it from 2.5 to a 3.
Yeah,
on average. So you'd get an extra 0.5 average if you got to re-roll all 1s.
Yes, which in this game is
an extra 0.5 damage. What's that? Like just re-roll 1s.
Yeah.
Just make it just re-roll 1s.
In which case, you may as well remove damage re-rolls and just say +1 damage on unarmed strike.
yeah.
Right? Like that would honestly be better. Okay. Shove. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of an attack on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also push them 5 foot away. You can use this benefit once per turn.
So the change here is part of the rules of grappling. They've gotten rid of grapple checks and they've now made grappling a part of an unarmed attack. When you make an unarmed attack, you can choose to either cause damage, push it over, or push it away from you, or grapple it. Yeah. But this is saying that you can, when you hit them with an unarmed strike, you can deal damage and push them away.
Yes.
I don't know why you can't trip them over or grapple them, the other 2 options that are in there. I don't know why they're saying that a Tavern Brawler is only going to push people
that
away.
there are going to be more
grapple.
feats for those ones. Like there's going to be a feat for grappling,
Tavern,
like pinning or something. Or...
improved Tavern Brawler.
Yeah. No. I think there's going to be separate feats. So there's going to be 1 for tripping, 1 for grappling, 1 for shoving, 1 for, you know what I mean?
Right.
I reckon there'll be, or even like grappling and this, or you know what I mean? I think they're going to be elsewhere.
Right.
I think they're going to be in there.
Yeah.
Because yes, you're absolutely right. Why shoving and not other things? Because if I trip someone over, yeah, they're gonna hit the ground. I can make sure that they hit the ground extra hard. If I'm gonna grapple someone, I could definitely like start choke holding them and stuff like that. There's lots of things you can do, and I think hopefully this is actually the start of dynamic, dynamic martial arts in the new D&D stuff, which would be amazing, and I'd love that because I love martial arts. Like I used to be a martial artist, and stuff like this really excites me. The pushing the 5 foot away. I love the fact that they put it. You can only use this benefit once per round. Yeah, if I hit you and you've gone 5 foot away, I'm not gonna. I can't use it again.
But it's to stop them going like, oh, I'm a monk with key points, so I'm going to unarmed strike you and push you 5 feet back. Unarmed strike you and push you 5 feet back. Key point, unarmed strike you, push you 5 feet back, and like keep moving between. Because unlike with Pathfinder, you can break your movement. You
can break up your movement.
So I can punch and then move 5, and then punch and then move 5. So I can be keeping up with you. And I don't know why they've restricted that. I'm like, sure.
Avoid Dragon Ball Z fights.
But yeah, I'm pushing and manipulating the feet. I am moving you back into the corner like a boxer who's getting pushed into the ring.
I think that's cool. I think that would be cool though. Yeah,
that's cool. So why are they restricting? I don't understand. I think it's because there's no saving throw for the thing that's getting pushed. If you can hit somebody 4 times, or you have 2 levels in action surge, and you can do that as well. So now you can hit somebody like 6 to 8 times per round. And you can push them 5 feet every turn. You can easily just push them wherever you want on the field. You can push them all the way over to the barbarian. You can push them into the pit.
All right. Do you want to watch Dag annoy Rob in like 2 seconds? You ready? There's no size restriction, Rob.
Oh my fucking god! Holy shit! So a 2 foot tall human. Can unarmed strike a gargantuan titan, a literal titan. That is bigger than colossal, and push it 5 feet away. By bopping it on the leg.
And here's the catch: if you've got like a little party of them with this feat, right?
All of them run up and just pop, and he moves 5 feet back, pop, and he moves 5 feet back, and push him into the pit. Which, if you're using the Tarrasca's written, you only need to dig a hole and fill it with water. It doesn't have a swim speed. It doesn't have a burrow speed. It doesn't breathe underwater. Push the Tarrasque back with a series of Tavern Brawlers.
So now what we're going to call... So basically...
You can Tavern Brawl a Tarrasque into a pit full of water and drown it.
So it used to be the peasant railgun was the thing in 3.5. So now we're going to call it... now we're going to call it the rowdy pub railgun.
The rowdy pub. It's going to be something to do with pushing back, like a force field.
I love
that. But yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
And then the last feature of Tavern Brawler is furniture as weapons. You can wield furniture as a weapon using the rules of Great Club if it's small or medium, and rules of a club if it's tiny. I don't know why they've worded it that way, and I don't like it. It's objectively worse because they've said it used to be that you are proficient in unarmed weapons. So you get to add your proficiency bonus when you're making an attack roll with it. You're no longer proficient in unarmed weapons. So even if you're a Tavern Brawler and you've taken a feat to be good at fighting with unarmed, like improvised weapons and stuff, if you aren't proficient in a great club or a club, I don't know which races aren't, if any, but like if theoretically you weren't proficient in a great club or a club, you can't add your proficiency bonus to the weapon. Also, why would a broken bottle be acted as a club? It probably wouldn't, because as written, a broken bottle isn't furniture. So now you can't use a broken bottle in a fight. Why have they removed improvised weapons and called it furniture?
Yeah, I think they've mistaken Tavern Brawler for Jackie Chan.
Using like chairs and stuff to block his incoming attacks. Which is awesome and a cool thing. But like, why am I not able to grab darts from the dartboard and throw them at you? Or why am I not able to smash your head into the keg?
Or like flip up your shirt and put it upside down and start
like it didn't. It was already a general encompassing term called improvised weapon. Which accounted for everything. And now they've said it's only furniture that you can use in a fight.
To that defense, though, improvised weapons were always things that weren't weapons. So so they used to always be these things.
A dead goblin.
Like I'm using this bit of sheet metal that happens to be shaped and look exactly like a sword, but because it's not a sword, it's an improvised weapon.
So I think that maybe they're trying to bring it back into the tavern, right? Like you can, like it's generally only Tavern Brawler. It's not like everything is a weapon brawler.
But I mean,
but I totally agree with you.
Like I agree. To be fair, the rules for improvised weapons in 5e as standard at the moment is that if you are using an improvised weapon that pretty much resembles a weapon, you use the stats of that weapon.
Okay.
If it says if you're using a chair leg, use the stats of a club. And I think it says like if you're using a broken bottle, use the stats of a dagger. Like it specifies you can just use the stats of a weapon that exists if your improvised weapon looks like that.
I agree. Bring back.
It's only for if you're like I'm using a dead goblin or I'm using an umbrella where you're like I don't know what to use this, so I'm just going to roll a d4.
Yeah, and to be honest, like that's also like improvised weapons. That's the only way you could get improvised weapon proficiency, correct? Through Tavern Brawler.
Through Tavern Brawler,
yeah. So like taking that away is something that I think that they shouldn't do. I agree.
Yeah, I think the way that they could fix that one is simply by saying using slashing, piercing, bludgeoning as appropriate.
Yeah,
that would fix that because you could still use the great club stats so long as the type of damage
slashing damage
is exactly 100%. Next up is tough. No prerequisites, not repeatable, which is weird, but okay. Your hit point maximum is increased by an amount equal to twice your character level when you gain this feat. When you gain a level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. So basically what that translates to is you get 2 hit points every level.
Yep. You get 2 hit points per level. Which is decent. It does stack up to have a difference between you and your companions that don't have it, but it's not so different that I don't see why it's not repeatable. I think it could be like if I want to use all of my feats instead of getting any other thing that I can get from a feat. If I want to get tough over and over again and just give myself like the only thing I'm leaning into is being a big sack of hit points, I'm not going to have anything else that I can do. But why not? Like that's the toss-up that I'm making. I'm giving away all of this versatility from taking all these other feats for just taking a whole bunch of hit points.
Makes me wonder if they're going to do tough 2, tough 3 and just kind of like have like them at different higher level increments.
That'd be okay.
Right.
I mean, I feel like it'd be better if they went repeatable, yes, max 3. So you can only get a maximum. You can only take this a maximum of about three repeatable times.
Yeah, see, that's cleaner too. Yeah, instead of making like, it's the same feat, it's just at a higher level requirement.
Because feats you're gonna get 1 at first level, then you're gonna get 1 at 4th instead of your ability score increase. You're gonna get 1 at 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th. And if you're a rogue, you get 2 more.
Yeah.
So at most, if you're playing a rogue, you're gonna get 8 feats. And if you wanted to take all 8 feats to be tough, and 9 if you're playing a human as well. So if you want to take all 9 feats into being a tough rogue, then you get 18 extra hit points every level per level, and that's if you've gotten all the way up to level 19, which is a lot more hit points. But as I said, you've now taken no other ability score increases, so your stats are the same as they were at level 1, and you've taken no other feats.
Yeah, which means that and then the thing is like at that level. Like, you'd be looking at, like, what? Like, let's say you would have taken it, like, 1, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So that is an extra 12 per level, which at 20th level, you're looking at, like... I can do 12 times 2. Shut up. 240 hit points. An extra 240 hit points on top of what you can do at level 20 with damage, on top of what you've already got. Yeah, you will be just literally a lot of hit points, but you'll likely just immolate after a period of time because of the amount of damage that the CR20s are capable of doing. Even the CR18s would even though they're 2 CRs lower, it's an exponential growth. So having that is going to definitely be useful. And I would definitely see that there's a lot of potential characters that would be very interesting to have that. Like, I know that Rob and I, we had our characters with the shared suffering rings, for example. Stuff like that. Yeah. Perfect. Wonderful. Great group combinations there. So there's lots of ways that would be a viable and useful way to be able to do it.
Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, all that's to say, I don't see why it shouldn't be repeatable, to be honest. I think it's not too game breaking. Cool.
And players love big numbers.
They do.
Players love big numbers. And the only time that I've ever wanted to take the tough feat as a player is when I have rolled for my hit points every level, and for the first 3 levels I rolled a 1. And so I ended up as a rogue at 3rd or 4th level having 10 hit points as my maximum. And I was like, if I roll another 1 when I level up to 4, I'm going to take the tough feat because I just can't like it's a fun character. It made me it made the decision for me that I guess I'm a ranged rogue because I can't be melee. But at the same time, I'm like, it's fun, but to a limit. Like I need to still be able to be in a fight with with people who are monsters that are happening to do 20 points of damage and not just get killed immediately. So I was like, I'll take the tough. And so yes, you can min-max with it, but you can also just use it as a way of like bringing yourself back to the average that you should have been if you hadn't rolled back at garbage.